Max Scherzer is your number one starter. He'll be starting on Friday, but he has kind of a hamstring tweak. He actually says it really only affects him when he pitches at 100%. Who's going to be on the mound on Friday?
We're not sure yet. We haven't made the decision. We certainly haven't made the announcement. Max is not only our number one starter, he's probably the number one starter in the league and maybe in baseball. So, if he's capable of pitching game one, he's the game one starter. If we feel it's beneficial for him to get an extra day or 2 days to rest the hamstring and prepare for game 2 or game 3, we would certainly be open to that. The good thing about our club is that we have 2 number one pitchers, and with Strauss and Max, and we're fortunate to have that option. And when you run the hottest pitcher in baseball out there game 1 and Steven Strasburg, that's not the worst thing in the world. We'll take that any day of the week.
How does that situation affect, what you do in terms of the roster? Because I know with the Cubs, since Arrieta's got the same deal, even though his is a little bit more serious, they may have to stash Lackey in there in case Arrieta can't go. So they might have to stash an extra starter. Is that something you guys are faced with, or do you think you guys will be fine? You pretty much know what your roster is.
I think going into this, the injuries or how people feel will affect the people that you put on the roster, your extra players and that type of thing. I think that Max's situation is such that we feel good about where he's at. I don't think that would correlate any other move that because of the hamstring. But we still haven't decided on the last 1 or 2 players on the roster. It's going to be contingent on how people progress. We're looking at Brian Goodwin in the workouts here, see how he's feeling, how he's moving, how he's running, and some other different guys on taking that the last piece of that roster and see how it'll improve us for a short 5-game series.
Rizzo, 9 a.m. Of course, the playoffs start on Friday. You got to like the fact that some of your guys, Ryan Zimmerman, Murphy, Rendon, Trey Turner, Jason Worth, they're actually all starting to hit this last week. Jason Worth actually said we may be clicking at the right time. How do you feel about it?
I like the approaches that we've taken recently. Harp had a good final game. He squared up a few baseballs, which is encouraging. I look at it this way. We've gone into the playoffs hot as can be. We've gone into playoffs cold as can be. I think once the national anthem comes and people are all fired up, your batting average, your ERA, everything's 0-0-0, and we start from scratch. And I think you're always one hit away from being hot, and you're always one at bat from going into a slump. So it's who gets hot, who stays hot, who maintains it, and who performs when the lights are brightest. So I think that's our approach. I like the health of where all our guys are at. That's the important thing. When you got Zim fired on all cylinders, and Jason feels good, Bryce feels good, and Murph. All our lineup is intact, which is helpful, which is encouraging. Our rotation is good, feels good. Our bullpen feels good. So I like where we're at as far as preparation for a short series. A lot of things can happen in those 5-gamers. It's something that we're going to embrace, and we're looking forward to it.
Mike, how do you guys match up statistically against their top 3? Let's just start with guys like Lester and Arrieta. Lester, last year was a beast. He had 19 wins. His ERA was under 3. This year he's 13-8 ERA, near 4.5. So not the same pitcher he was last year. He had some shoulder problems too. He was on the DL. How do you guys match up with Lester and Arrieta in particular?
Well, he may have struggled through some of the regular season, and he acquired those numbers over the season. But again, this is a whole different ballgame right now.
Right.
He's got championship pedigree. He's got playoff experience. This team has been there before, done it. They're playoff savvy, and when you look at Arrieta and Lester and Hendricks and Quintana and Lackey, they've done it before. They, I think except for Quintana, they've all have a lot of post-game experience, and postseason experience and playoff experience, and they're going to be a handful. They're a great team. They've got star power. They know they've got a good lineup. They've got some speed. They got some power. They got some pitching and a good bullpen. So, hey, we match up great with them. They match up with us. We fear nobody, but we respect everybody, and they're a team capable of winning the World Series. But I believe wholeheartedly that we're a team that's capable of the World Series, and we're ready to tee it up and let's go.